You eat a small mushroom growing near your camp. Your hands are shaking slightly because you don't actually know if this will kill you. Within an hour, the world around you doesn't look the same. Colors are brighter, shapes are moving that shouldn't be moving. You don't know if you're dying or seeing something real for the first time. And thousands of years later, archaeologists would find a leather pouch buried with someone who did this so often they built an entire kit for it. By the end of this video, you'll understand why humans have been deliberately doing this for longer than we have writing, or agriculture, or almost anything else we associate with civilization. Let's start with the evidence itself, because for a long time, this was one of the hardest things in archaeology to actually prove. Plant material decomposes, residue washes away. Unlike stone tools or bones, the physical proof of what people were eating and drinking rarely survives thousands of years. But in the last few decades, a technique called residue analysis has changed that completely. Scientists can now detect microscopic chemical traces left behind on ancient containers, pipes, and even inside strands of preserved hair. But the strangest discovery wasn't in Europe or the Middle East. It was in South America. And it changes everything about how deliberate this actually was. Before we get there, consider the smaller pieces of this story first. At a site in modern-day Peru, archaeologists uncovered smoking pipes containing residue of nicotine and other psychoactive plant compounds, dating back roughly 2,500 years. In Spain, researchers examining human hair from a Bronze Age burial site found traces of atropine and scopolamine, powerful psychoactive alkaloids found in plants from the nightshade family. The hair samples suggest the compounds were consumed repeatedly over an extended period, not just once by accident. And here's where it gets stranger. In a cave in Israel, dating back over 11,000 years, archaeologists found large quantities of wild barley showing signs of controlled fermentation in a location connected directly to burial rituals. Before bread, before farming as we typically define it, humans may have been brewing something intoxicating, specifically for ceremonies honoring the dead, thousands of years before they figured out how to farm for food. But none of that compares to what was found in Bolivia. At a rock shelter there, archaeologists found a leather pouch dating back roughly 1,000 years, containing traces of at least 5 different psychoactive plant compounds, including compounds found in ayahuasca. The pouch also contained llama bone tubes, apparently used for inhaling the substances directly. This wasn't a single plant, used once, by accident. This was a curated kit, assembled deliberately, likely carried and used repeatedly over the owner's entire lifetime. Someone built this collection on purpose, and it mattered enough to them that it was buried alongside them when they died. So why would ancient humans, already struggling to find enough calories to survive, spend time and effort seeking out plants with no nutritional value at all? The leading explanation involves something deeper than pleasure alone. In nearly every documented case, psychoactive plant use appears connected to ritual, not recreation. Sites containing residue of these compounds are frequently associated with burial grounds, cave paintings, and locations archaeologists interpret as ceremonial, which suggests these substances weren't primarily about escaping reality. They were about accessing a different one deliberately as part of religious or spiritual practice. There's a specific hypothesis connected to this idea that remains genuinely controversial among researchers. Some scientists have proposed that exposure to psychoactive compounds, particularly certain mushrooms, may have influenced the development of early human cognition, imagination, and even the origin of language itself. It's a theory that would mean part of what makes us human, our ability to speak, to imagine, to create abstract thought, may trace back to something people were eating in the dark, not knowing what would happen next. Most anthropologists remain skeptical of this idea as a primary driver of human evolution. But even its skeptics agree on something adjacent to it. Altered states of consciousness appear to have played a consistent, repeated role in shaping early human ritual, art, and belief systems, regardless of exactly how that influence began. Now put yourself back at the beginning of this video. You've just woken up from that experience 11,000 years ago. No doctor, no explanation, no idea what just happened to your mind. Colors are still moving faintly at the edge of your vision. What would you have believed you just witnessed? With no knowledge of neurotransmitters, brain chemistry, or perception, the only available explanation within your worldview was that you had touched something real, something outside the physical world you understood. This wasn't a hallucination to them. It was contact, and they had no way to know if they would come back from it the same person. And this may explain explain why these experiences became so tightly bound to death and to the sacred. Someone who has just watched reality reshape itself around them, who has felt the boundary between self and world dissolve temporarily, returns from that experience changed. Ancient cultures across completely unconnected regions of the world, Peru, Siberia, parts of Africa, arrived independently at strikingly similar conclusions. That these plants opened a door, and that the door was worth protecting, ritualizing, and passing down, generation after generation, even though every single person who walked through it took a real risk that it might not open again. So what does this mean? Beyond the archaeology, it means that humans have been deliberately altering their own consciousness for at least 11,000 years, likely much longer, and doing so specifically to access something they considered meaningful, not simply to feel good. Every culture in recorded history has developed some version of this practice independently, without contact with one another, which suggests it isn't a strange historical footnote. It may be one of the most consistent behaviors our species has ever displayed. The next time you hear about ancient rituals, cave paintings, or burial practices involving unusual objects, remember this. Somewhere in that ceremony, there is a reasonable chance a plant was involved, deliberately chosen, carefully prepared by someone with shaking hands who genuinely didn't know what would happen next. They didn't have telescopes or microscopes or any way to look outward at the universe, so instead, they found a way to look inward. And for over 11,000 years, we still haven't entirely stopped.